Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. There's so much going on in the world, and I know how busy construction is leading up to the colder months. I wanted to say that we're so grateful that you made time to be here with us today. My name is Jazz Sarah. I'm based locally out of Toronto, Ontario, and I will be your host for today's session. Today, we're going to be talking about Procore's journey to international growth, the impact this has on regions like Canada, and Procore's outlook of the future, which we're all very excited about. Joining me are two very bright minds and influential industry leaders, Anna Schlegel, who's our Vice President of Product for International Markets and Globalization at Procore, which is a bit of a mouthful, and Chris Lengiza, who's our Vice President of Global Partnerships and Alliances. Now, before we dive into the discussion, I wanted to touch upon some key figures that reflect the strides we have made in our journey today. At Procore, our mission is to connect everyone in construction globally on a single platform. It's a single source of truth where all stakeholders can collaborate and manage project life cycles end to end. And there's a tremendous amount of data being generated in construction. One of our goals at Procore is to help our customers through that digital transformation journey and unlock the full potential of this data, translating it into real business advantages and ultimately transforming the way we build. Procore has already connected over 11,000 owners, general contractors, and specialty contractors across more than 125 countries. Owners like Brookfield Properties, general contractors like Bird, and subs like Modern Niagara have all chosen Procore because they recognize the value of a solution that connects every one of their project stakeholders. And now, we have over 1 million projects created on the platform and over 1.6 million annual users. These numbers are increasing every month, which is a real testament to the impact we're making in the industry. At the same time, our partner environment has substantially grown to include over 300 integration partners across categories like accounting, ERP, BIM, analytics, and many more. We currently have over 55 Procore certified consultants, 40 of whom serve North America. There's a good chance that Procore integrates with most of the applications that are currently utilized in your technology environment. Now, without further ado, let's meet our panelists and hear from them how Procore got to be such a dominant player in the market and what the future has in store for Procore and for the industry. Anna and Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll start with you, Chris. I know that we've known each other for a few years now. I've always enjoyed hearing about your unique journey to Procore. I don't want to steal your thunder here, but tell us a little bit about your background and about what a day in the life of a VP of Global Partnerships at Procore looks like.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jas. And I always love sharing the story because I think I had a little bit of a unique journey getting to the position I sit in today at Procore. So for those of you who've not met me before, my name is Chris Lengiza, and I come from industry. I spent about 15 years working for general contractors all throughout the US, really mainly focused on commercial projects, but really got bit by the technology bug in how technology and innovation could drive construction. Maybe I was just in the right place at the right time, but I was a kid who came up with computers and thought that there was just a better way. And so became a Procore customer and really started to leverage the platform for what it is today, which is the ability to connect many different solutions and systems together to build even better workflows. And so I joined Procore to head up our marketplace team and really deliver on many of those integrations that many of you use today, whether that be DocuSign or it be an integration with your ERP like Jonas or Sage, really taking the opportunity to build those partnerships so we could deliver better end-to-end solutions for our customers. And then recently, as I stepped into the role as VP for the Global Partnerships team, really looking at how we build globally and leverage our partnership network to deliver better services, better solutions, and better technology to our customers all around the world.
Thanks, Chris. And I think that's going to be a topic we're going to dive into today, specifically around international and the fact that construction tech is such a lively space right now. There's huge opportunity for us to not only tap into a lot of the greatest minds in construction tech in the US, but in Canada and in the rest of the world, and really drive value for our customers across all four corners of the globe. So thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Anna, over to you. And I just wanted to say like how grateful I am that I get to work with you and to get to know you over the course of the last 4 months that you've been at Procore. I remember one of our first conversations, you directed me to a podcast where you spoke at length about corporate globalization and the level of company alignment that is required in order to be successful and to be successful in key international markets. I know as well that you're an accomplished author with your book Truly Global, and you founded an amazing nonprofit organization for women in localization that boasts 7,000 members in 30 countries. So with your background, which is really compelling, what ultimately attracted you to Procore?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on this session. I try to join companies that are starting the journey, and I typically look for companies that are at the 10 to 20% international revenue, and then I help the companies get to 30 and 40 and 50 and 60%. And I think, as Chris was saying, and you were mentioning, the opportunity for Procore to tap the international market is something that we just, that we started on the journey these last couple of years, but we're going to crush this. And that's the kind of assignment that I like to do. I come from, literally being the first person that got into Cisco, the first person that got into VMware, got into Xerox, got into NetApp. That's what I like to do. I like to go in and kind of set the strategic direction for companies to go global. It takes a while. It's a big orchestration, but that's what I enjoy.
It's amazing. And we really appreciate that role in the business, because I think as a Canadian, and speaking as a Canadian, we sometimes get confused as the 51st state. So it's actually really nice and refreshing that we're included within the international part of the Procore business.
Absolutely.
And someone like you, Anna, and Chris, for that matter, can help prioritize the needs of our Canadian customers as we grow and scale. So again, really appreciate you being on today and being with the company. So I think, again, like one of the things we're talking about today is the vision and the growth strategy for global markets like Canada and how we localize and globalize. But first, I want to just take a step back and like kind of take a bit of a history lesson, I guess, with Procore and kind of figure out how we got to where we got to today. So Procore, as we all know, started off as a general contractor platform in 2002. Since then, it's focused on building a lot of capabilities for subcontractors and positioning us really firmly in the owners market. Anna, first you, like if you could just help me understand, like what drove Procore to expand offerings through those different audiences and do it through product developments and acquisitions. What was the mindset behind that?
Sure. So from the beginning, Procore was built to be a solution to help drive collaboration, right, in the industry, in the construction industry. And although the product, I think, was initially focused more for GCs for about 10 years, we've had SCs and owners in the product invited to collaborate on the projects. And I think there was a tipping point about 5 years ago when we started to see more and more SCs and owners starting to buy Procore for themselves because they themselves needed these solutions to manage the projects, right? And I think TUI and Procore for many years have had the mission to connect everybody in the construction on this global platform, right? And as a result, we have continued to invest in the product roadmap to be designed for GCs, but now also for SCs and owners. And I think we've built new products like Field Productivity and TME that have acquired great products like Honest Buildings. And we have integrated and partnered with best-in-class solutions in the market to help ensure platform is the best place for everybody to run their projects, right? And I know that our users spend 70% of their day collaborating, right? So we want to make this easier, developing a system of collaboration that enables all the users around the world to coordinate with the right stakeholders, assign the tasks, companies, individuals, notify, users of critical jobs and all of that. So that's what we're after, right? That seamless communication, and it's quite the evolution from, what Procore was built to begin with.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think as we're going to a discussion around global, global is also some of the biggest projects on the planet are also global projects, and the level of disconnectedness between various teams can be sometimes continents or countries, right? So
absolutely,
having a connected platform that connects, say, GC to an owner, to a subcontractor, to a structural engineer, to a consultant, is a big requirement and something that really improves the overall construction process. I don't know, Chris, do you have any comments on kind of that sort of evolution of Procore into those different audiences?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add is that if you really want to make a dent in the challenge that is global construction, you can't just optimize for one part of the project, right? We know what happens then. That pain gets pushed onto somebody else. And so in order for us to really improve the lives of everyone in construction and really connect all those people, we have to provide solutions for everyone who works on a project, right? And ways that they can actually work and connect and collaborate together. And this will be the partner part of me that comes out, but not only with Procore, but also with all of the other technology and solutions and innovations that they have inside of their business. Because if we can't do that, then we're just optimizing for the part. And that will never reap the benefits that our customers and that the industry is looking for as we move forward.
Thank you, Chris. Let's fast forward to today or a few months ago. Procore just IPO'd, which was a big event for the business and a culmination of 20 plus years of really hard work for Tui and the leadership team and everyone else who has worn a Procore hat in the last 20 plus years. It's a big event, but also it comes with it a big opportunity, I think. And one of those is a funding opportunity, which results in investment opportunities. How do we take that new funding, Anna? How do we apply that and invest in the future direction of the product, the roadmap, and in international markets in order to not only be successful as a business, but to provide better tools for our users in our international markets?
Yeah, absolutely. So super, obviously, everybody, I think, is super excited to see Procore having gone through the IPO back in May, which is exactly when I was hired. I think there's got to be something there with the timing, right? Because it's typical what I was saying, where I like to get into companies is when they're pre-IPO, post-IPO, because going through an IPO means that you're going to have to expand, right? And that's typically when globalizers get the phone call of like, hey, come on over, we need to structure and get organized a little bit better. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to join, right? I, through the interviews, and when I was talking to Tui and a lot of the C-suite folks, I clearly understood. And I wanted to come over only if there was that appetite to go global, right? And to understand how important global growth is for the company and just the vast space, right, that we have, not just in tier 1 and tier 2 markets. I mean, I've traveled everywhere. I've lived in Africa, I've been in India and China. Like the need for construction, safety and regulations, it's super, super global. And so, okay, so we've gone IPO. There's a lot of questions from stakeholders, shareholders, analysts, right? On how are we going to get organized? I have to tell you that for Procore, we have a term that's called global by design. That's for this year is the #1 strategic initiative for the company. And so you have to imagine that my day is spent on who are we hiring, what are the right leaders, what countries are we getting into, looking at the global infrastructure for the company, and really looking after the keyword global is a super large orchestration of how a company that has been this successful, especially in the United States, and has a lot of US-based processes and US-based folks, how are we going to do this, right? And so making it a reality is where I have fun and where we're going to have the orchestration with the country managers. And in 2022, this strategic initiative of going global is still going to be #1, right? Because going global and learning how to turn a company like this around, it is going to take a couple of years for us. But significant global expansion for Procore, especially in Europe. I can tell you that we're also going to be growing in the Middle East and double down in existing markets, right? I can tell you that we are prioritizing global growth in so many ways, right? So for example, I brought in an international product market team, and for the first time, we're gonna have a significant investment in global engineering. So we are designing from the vice president on down, all the team that needs to be there to help us with the market fit. So huge commitment from the top down, which is very, very necessary. And then also I see, so many people that understand that that is the strategic initiative for the company. We're hiring across, right? Within legal, within marketing, within professional services, customer service channel. It's coming in from all corners. So my job is to make sure that we're hiring super leaders, that we, as we look at the platform and we look at the new products, that these products are built in a way that they can go global from day one, that it's not an afterthought, right? And we don't need to have too many conversations afterthought about market fit, like, oops, we forgot that about Canada, right? So I'm here to kind of switch and transform how we think. And so we have, and we are still hiring a very strong globalization team, but not just that, right? So more product marketing and more sales folks, heads of HR in Europe, as an example, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of, I'm constantly on LinkedIn, like, hey, we're looking for this VP, in this country, the country. It will continue. So 2022 is going to be the year where we get really well organized to go global and learn a lot, right? Because we are getting into new markets. So we're going to use that to learn and then rinse and repeat.
Right. No, that's really helpful. And I think one of the key things I just sort of picked up from what you just said, Anna, was the notion of a global sort of engineering team or some sort of product team. And, I think that's a big win, right? Because that really allows us to start prioritizing the asks and needs of some of our key international markets. And having been here for 4.5 years, I can tell you that, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and United Kingdom and Northern Ireland were our first original markets. And there's a level of commonality between those markets that allows us to prioritize and create product and offerings and updates to the platform that actually drive value across multiple markets all at once. So the fact that we can do that already, and we've seen that over the last 4.5 years, and now we can accelerate that with those types of teams, I think is a really compelling proposition.
Yeah, agreed. And I think part of my job, because there's a backlog, like Anna's here, like we're getting a lot of phone calls, right? So it's what are those trade-offs and the larger changes that we have to do to the platform and to the product that is common, as you say, and can help the most customers, I think is going to be very, very important for us.
Yeah. Let me you've already answered my sort of next question, which was going to be around the strategy for global growth. So I really appreciate that. But maybe if we just put our crystal ball in front of us and we look 5 years into the future, what does that look like in terms of Procore as a global organization? And then Chris, after Anna's done, I'd love for you to maybe chime in as well from a partnership lens. How do you see that as well?
We're starting to think, I've been here for 4 months. I'm thinking 3 years out, but if you're asking me 5 years out, the global infrastructure is strong, right? So there's a lot of regulations on data storage and privacy laws and compliance. So we will have that completely figured out. I know that we will be in dozens of countries at that point, and not just in Europe, right? So we're a strong presence in APAC, the Middle East, where the products will have been localized before we go to market. So the market fit backlog that we're seeing now, my goal is to flip the switch, and when we go global, or when any vice president of product launches a product, we're all going to go. And the market fit is going to be better at that point. I think, all the compliance issues and the tightening regulations around the world is something that we are standing up a very strong team also to get ahead of that. So that's going to be different than how it is today. And I can tell you that Procore's revenue will heavily rely on coming in from international markets, and we will be more similar to the revenue that we have today in the States.
Chris, what's your Nostradamus projection there?
I get really excited about what's 5 years out from today for us, especially for folks that are, in Canada and internationally, because I see a world where I spend enough time with you, Jas, and the team and contractors up in Canada to understand that there are just things that are unique to these markets. And in order to be able to use a tool, it has to meet those requirements. And where I get really excited with where Anna and the platform teams are going is we're going to enable you as customers and partners, whether they be channel partners or service partners, to deliver solutions that meet those very, very specific needs, but not in the way that we probably see them today, maybe just through integration, but really, really deep embedded workflows, almost that it's maybe built on top of the platform. And so I get really excited to think about how scalable it will be for us to enter those markets, because you're right, there are a lot of things that are very, very similar in each of those markets, but then each one has a few things, right, that are very, very specific. And we can't solve all of those problems. So we have to lean on that ecosystem. And that ecosystem is made up of partners and consultants and customers to help us build the solutions to better solve for the market. And that's where I get really excited 5 years from now, is because if we do this right, and I think we're on a great track to do it, you shouldn't ever look at Procore and be like, it can't do this thing for me, because if it's a big enough need and it's not unique to you, probably somebody will have built it for you.
Yeah.
That makes sense, Chris. Thank you. Sort of goes on from what Chris was just saying, Anna, but I'm thinking, like, in terms of how we build this sort of, next generation top-notch product and solution. And Chris kind of touched on this in terms of some of the internal work that we're doing as a business. What are some of the internal processes and systems that you're putting in place in order to enable us to evolve with the industry from a product perspective?
So one of the things that I like that I was already in existence here was the willingness from the country teams and the product teams and the customer support teams to meet regularly to understand customer feedback, right? I think what will change is how we're stepping it up from an engineering and an international product perspective that will actually be able to accelerate the pace of what you need in Canada, as an example, right? So it's not just listening. I mean, the list is pretty long. So now we're already, launching correspondence and about to do quite a bit for action plans. And, we're working, I like to say, infiltrated several people in doc control, and we're starting to give requirements to financials, right? So this is the power of how this is going to become top notch and rapidly evolve, right? We need these people, we need these experts, right? So I'm bringing people from all kinds of very awesome companies that have seen this before, right? So internally, we're getting organized. Also, we're standing up something that we call product councils. So where the teams lead the discussion with the field, and we're relying on your team, Jas, or for every country that you tell us the reality, and we do the prioritization together. Because, as Chris was saying, there's a lot to be done, but we want to be aligning the resources to what's great, not what's good, but like what's going to be great for the customers. And the other thing, top notch means that engineering is top notch, and the product and the engineering tripods that we have, or the community of, it's like the telephone game, right? So the field is telling you, the product manager needs to explain to engineering what is it that we need. So I am designing all of this right now with incredible international product and engineers. So that's what will make us top notch: great localization, great linguistics, great listening sessions. And I think, indicating, and I know to you guys, what is that's coming in the next 6 months, and working with product marketing to make sure that we explain, here's what's going to be delivered in the next 3 months. So things like this will be very helpful, I think, for country managers like you, and also for the customers, right? We can have NDA sessions, and we can do all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome. I think, just speaking for myself, as a country manager, like you and I have discussed this in passing, but as we scale that organization, like having user group sessions or
yeah,
key customers or Canadian community type of meetings where we can discuss some of these priorities with our customers and bring them under the tent, I think would be really impactful.
that would be great. Yes, and I really enjoy. I mean, top notch also means that I get very involved in listening sessions with, you're bringing me to a number of good customers, so that then we can really get to the bottom of what is it that we need to be building here.
Thank you. One aspect of how Procore grows internationally is related to everything that Anna, you've just discussed, which is a very global international perspective, which also includes things like regulatory and other types of compliance needs. But I think part of what we also kind of have to touch on here is the unique needs of the platform from an ecosystem perspective, and how we're sort of thinking about that, servicing different international markets. So Chris, you already touched on sort of platform evolution to some degree, but I'd love to get your sort of take on other ways that we continue to augment the Procore platform through the ecosystem, through strategic partnerships, which are technology partnerships, which we're kind of touching on here, but also through ISVs, consultants and resellers, different types of partners that you think are going to contribute to our success internationally.
Yeah, I think one of the key areas here to think about is we don't necessarily just want to deliver a piece of software to you for you to use on a project, right? We want to transform the way that a project runs. And that doesn't just happen by showing up and dropping a box at your doorstep and say, install this, right? Or back in the day when you used to put a floppy drive in, if you're old enough to remember floppy drives, right? So yeah, see, me too. So, we have to be able to deliver, in addition to that, the consultants, the services, those that are going to make sure that you're going to be successful, that are going to take a look at how you run your business and figure out, how does Procore fit in? How does this ISV, this technical partner that does this one solution thing for you, fit into that workflow? And where that all layers together is thinking about how those things interact and the configurability and the customization that will happen by region. Right? Maybe you're in Quebec and you need things to work a certain way. Maybe you're over in Vancouver and things are done a little bit differently in a different language. And so we need to be able to have the ecosystem, so those consultants, the partners, to help you drive that into your business. But at the end of the day, make sure that so much of that data and that information is consolidated and can be reported on, and that you are the beneficiary of all the information that you and the other customers are collecting, because it helps us improve the product. It helps us provide you with more insights that are relevant to your business, that are relevant to your region. And I think that's what's really exciting about as we go international, is we're going to find things that we can ensure and deliver to a market that'll be great market insights, right? That are hyper localized to a region or to a country, that aren't just looking, at the US or just globally, but we can dial in because we're getting the customer base there, and we are all bringing all that data back into one platform.
Yeah, makes sense. It's funny you say that, because I can almost use the word platform and insights interchangeably. And I always think of a platform as a unified data model, for lack of a better term. And so if we can get people, construction professionals, construction executives, and anyone else who has a stake in the construction process to log into a system of record like Procore and immediately have those insights at their fingertips from all of those platform connected ecosystem partners, in addition to the data that Procore is producing, like the sort of the force multiplier for their businesses is just something stratospheric, right? And that's something that I really get excited about. I know a lot of senior executives and people that are in the field get excited about. And that's really the sort of the evolution I think we're going through right now as a business and as an industry.
Yeah, I'll just add one last little piece to that. One of the things that I get excited about as a former field worker, right, is like we're moving past the just like digitize the paper process, right? That's what's going to make this really powerful is we're actually going to improve the way you get the job done, not just take this old clipboard form that you had and make it a little bit easier because you can do it on an iPad, right? We're going to fill half of it in for you. We're going to tell you what to look out for. We're going to, and all of that is a function of being, on that unified data platform and having a lot of that information collected and gathered by a shared customer base.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that response. And I see a really bright future here where we can leverage the power of the platform, the work that Anna's doing in terms of localizing and globalizing the code base in order to meet the needs of our key international customers or regions, Canada included, and then how we leverage the ecosystem to augment that work and provide a force multiplier to our customers in their regions. Again, like to your example, getting a very specific Quebec-based partner for our Quebec-based customer, right? That's a great example, right? So I see a really rosy future here. Let's just go to the other side of the equation. Like, what are some of the constraints? What are some of the risks? How do you think about what sort of obstacles the industry and the market could throw up at you over the course of the next few years as we embark on this journey?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think some of the biggest barriers that come into play are our openness, right? And are the other players in the market willing to be open and collaborate, right? We are only better when we can share that information together. So, having other technology vendors that are willing to integrate, having standards organizations that are willing to evolve their standards to a modern framework and allow technology to be used in order to deliver things in a better way. Those are some of the things that will hinder our ability to continue to innovate. And I think the other part that we really need to lean on, everybody's familiar with this, which is like we have a workforce shortage, right? And so can we train and educate people fast enough in order to do this work, right? And that's why Procore, the other part of the business that I oversee is our investment in workforce development through Procore.org. And can we educate those who are coming into the industry, bring more and more trade skilled workers into the industry, because all the technology in the world is great, but it doesn't replace the people, right? The people are the ones that build the jobs, right? We just make their jobs hopefully a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit safer, and make sure that they can get home to their families at night, but we still need those people. And so that's why we invest in not just being a partner from a software perspective, but really in one that's ensuring that the industry is moving forward and we can provide the workforce of tomorrow as well.
That makes sense. It's funny, as a sales executive, I always talk about improving our customers' bottom line, in helping them increase their revenues and profitability, reducing their costs and increasing efficiency. And all of those things ultimately help you do more with less. And if we can do more with less, we can make our people more productive and we can make their lives better. And I think that's really the end goal of everything we do from a technology perspective. So really well said, Chris. I think we're nearing the end of this session, and it's been a real fun one. I'm going to quickly just close out and see if Anna and Chris, if you had any last minute thoughts before we hit pause here, but really looking forward to maybe picking up a conversation like this again in the future. Anna, I'll start with you.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully in the next session, I can introduce you to somebody that we just hired, a senior international product manager dedicated to Canada. I didn't want to bring her because it's her first month, but that shows the investment also, right? So to have somebody that she's all yours, part of your team, to understand that market fit. And as we hire this engineering team, she can partner with them to start working on all these things that Chris was talking about so that we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into the specifics, right? And I'm super excited to partner with Chris also because we alone, we're in products, so we tend to build, very specific big bets and large platforms decisions, but collaborating with the pathway community there to see how they can help build or support more regional areas is something that I haven't, had the time to look into, but it's a great point that Chris was making there.
Chris, I know you always like to have the last word. So.
I do. I'm not gonna lie. I think my big thing that I'd leave you as a takeaway is we want to help you as a business innovate, right? We want to help you evolve. We want to help you be more efficient, right? And so we need your feedback. Anna needs your feedback. That new senior product manager needs your feedback. Our team needs your feedback. Who are the people that you're working with? What are the things that you use already that we want to have better partnerships with? And so, my ask of you is like, don't be a stranger. Please reach out to our teams. Give the feedback to your CSM, to your sales rep, to anyone, but let us know how we can help. We really do want to be a partner to you, and we want to be able to help evolve. Maybe we have an answer, maybe sometimes we don't, and we're looking for that introduction. So that's my ask of each of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And I appreciate everyone joining us today for this session. Thank you so much. Really hope you're enjoying Groundbreak so far, and really glad that you were able to join us, and we'll get you off to the next session. Thanks so much. All the best. Bye for now.